We will now move on to our second part of our session, where we will hear from young members of Parliament from different countries on their national perspectives on achieving the 2030 goal. I am now very pleased to welcome Mr. Adrien Charles Duval, the youngest Speaker of Parliament in the world today. The Speaker of the National Assembly of Mauritius, who will now give us a keynote address. He's an active member of the IPU Forum of Young Parliamentarians. Mr. Speaker, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you to my predecessor, the former world youngest speaker. Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Dr. Tulia Ackson, President of the IPU, Speaker of Tanzania, His Excellency Mr. Martin Changong, Secretary General of the IPU, distinguished young parliamentarians, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, on behalf of the Mauritius delegation, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Armenia for its excellent hospitality and very warm welcome. I would equally like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to the IPU for their invitation to participate in this momentous event. The theme of the conference, Avoiding Lost Generation, Preserving Education and Employment Under All Circumstances, directly aligns with our current session, Countdown to 2030, Where Are We on Youth Education and Employment? In fact, as the world's youngest speaker, a recognition bestowed upon me by the IPU, and also as the president of l'Association des Parlements des États membres de la Commission de l'Océan Indien, an association regrouping the small island developing states of the Indian Ocean, I have been invited here today to share my perspective on the value of youth political leadership to protect and promote education and employment for youth in times of crisis, and more particularly from the perspective of one of the many small island developing states dealing with climate emergencies, including climate change emergency. Youth, young members, as we stand here today, we find ourselves at a crucial juncture in human history. With just under 6 years left until 2030, the deadline for achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we must ask ourselves, are we doing enough to empower our youth and provide them with the education that they need to tackle the challenges of tomorrow? To understand the importance of youth empowerment, we need only to look at the profound impact young people have had throughout history, from the civil rights movement of the 1960s to the recent global climate strikes. Youth have consistently been the driving force of social change. These past generations have shaped the world that we live in today, fighting for equality, human rights, and environmental protection. Their legacy reminds us that when we empower our youth, we unlock a powerful force for positive change. It is a testament to the fact that age is not a prerequisite for wisdom or impact. As we look towards 2030 and beyond, it is clear that we need a fresh perspective and innovative solutions in our political systems. Youth involvement in politics is not just beneficial, it is essential. Young people bring new ideas, tech-savvy approaches, and a sense of urgency to political discourse. We must create the pathways for our youth participation in politics at all levels, from local councils to national parliaments. We must promote the appointment of young MPs to cabinet positions and other key positions of state. The Armenian parliament, in this respect, is truly commendable, being presently the world's youngest parliament with an average age of 40. We must also ensure that young voices are heard and respected in all aspects of policy-making processes by promoting the creation of impactful youth advisory boards at national levels to ensure proper consultation on key government policies that will impact them directly. The next generation will inherit a planet facing unprecedented environmental challenges. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution are not distant threats, they are present realities that will shape the future of our youth. Therein also lies an opportunity. The passion and dedication and determination of young climate activists around the world have already begun to shift the global conversation. As we approach 2030, it will be innovative ideas and relentless advocacy that our youth can drive through for the transition to a sustainable, low-carbon economy. We must support this generation of environmental stewards by integrating climate education in our curricula and providing platform for youth environmental activities. 2030 is also the date presumed for the achievement of artificial general intelligence, which will take AI beyond the capability and complexity of human reasoning. As we race towards 2030, developments in the fields of artificial intelligence will bring constant transformating changes across our sectors, all sectors of society, from healthcare to education, from climate science to economic planning. But what does this mean for the younger generations? As most of the jobs of 2030 and beyond do not exist yet, our education systems must imperatively constantly evolve to adequately prepare our youth for the near future. It is essential that our system of education moves beyond the rote learning model, that is the process of learning through memorization of information based on repetition, and should instead focus on critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability. We must modernize our curricula and leverage technology to create more equitable and effective learning environments. We must also promote lifelong learning and foster a culture of innovation. Our aim must be to ensure that our young workforce is equipped with the necessary skills to thrive in the new economy. Let me also say a few words about Mauritius and other small island developing states in this context. Mauritius, like other SIDS, have no natural resources and face unique challenges. Despite being one of the least polluting countries globally, we top the charts as the most vulnerable countries impacted by climate change. This is a problem not of our making, but yet we bear most of its brunt. This climate injustice is unfortunately the reality that we live in today. Our beaches and oceans, which are the backbone of our tourism and fishing industries, are under incredible threat from climate change. The disappearance of our coral reef by 2050 with rising sea temperatures, and by extension, the disappearance of our sea life, not to mention the changing currents which is destroying our beaches, is the reality that we are faced with. These industries collectively account for a quarter of our economy, both in terms of revenue and employment. Climate change is unfortunately already impacting our daily lives, with more frequent, unpredictable climate events such as flash floods and severe tropical cyclones. In fact, in this year alone, our students in Mauritius have faced significant disruptions, having been forced to remain at home for an unprecedented number of days due to heavy rain warnings and risk of flash floods. Although Mauritius has made significant strides in education and youth development, it is unfortunately simply not enough today in the face of climate change. So what does it mean for us? It means that we must invest heavily in our education, in technology and innovation to ensure our survival beyond 2050. However, we lack the financial resources to do so comprehensively and immediately. Small island developing states like Mauritius should not be expected to drive green policies alone. but should be encouraged and supported in their effort to mitigate risk of climate change, which requires massive investments in building resilient and adapted infrastructures. We should also be encouraged and supported in our efforts to adapt to climate change by embracing technology to enhance our education systems and to diversify our industries to secure the future of younger generations. Our people are and will continue to be our greatest resource. We are an educated, bilingual people, but sadly, this is not sufficient any longer in the age of rapid technological advancement. Like Singapore, Mauritius has a modern and stable jurisdiction and has the potential to become a world-class leader in industries such as the financial service industry for the benefit of a global economy. But Mauritius and other SIDS, for them to be able to make their significant contributions to the world, must have their voices heard. To unlock our potential and secure our survival, we cannot do it on our own, and the solution lies in mutual cooperation and meaningful support to strengthen both our physical and digital infrastructures to enable us to mitigate and adapt to climate change, both in terms of protection of our population and protection of our economies. Yes, your assistance is required for the modernization of our schools, and it should be a top priority for those who contribute the most to the global warming issue. As young leaders present here today, you hold the key to our future, and no doubt, I am sure, you will do what it takes to help Mauritius and other countries in facing the future that we have to face together. I thank you all.
Thank you. And now the final remarks in response to your interventions from Mr. Speaker Adrien Charles Duval.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to everyone who's participated. I guess my concluding remarks to summarize the debate is that we need to know, as policymakers, we need to create the space for the youth to participate. As educators, we need to reimagine our respective education systems to prepare the youth for the challenges of tomorrow. As business leaders, we need to invest in youth training and mentorship programs, and we need to recognize that young people are tomorrow's innovators and tomorrow's leaders. And finally, as young people, we need to understand that here, as young leaders and young people around the world, our voice matters, and we need to demand a seat at the table, and we should never underestimate our power to create change. So with those remarks, I thank you all, and I wish you all much success.